Hey everybody, I'm going to tell you about this piece here. I'm so glad you clicked on it. It's called the Wild West in Wichita. Now this piece is biographical in nature. This cowgirl here, her name was Lucille Mulhall. Now she was the daughter of Zach Mulhall, and he had his own Wild West show. Now this was in Oklahoma. And she grew up a horseback. And she was a roping son of a gun from the time she was little. She worked for her dad in the Wild West show. She worked for Buffalo Bill. She worked for the 101 Ranch. She was really a handy gal. In fact, the story goes that this is how the term cowgirl came about. It was coined for her. And Will Rogers made up that term after seeing her rope in Madison Square Garden. In 1913, she was the ladies' world champion steer roper. She was just really a handy gal. And what's kind of interesting, just as a side note, is her dad, even though she grew up horseback and she grew up around horses and cattle, her dad made sure that her and her sisters all went to finishing school in St. Louis. So they were proper ladies. And it was said of her that she never had anything but a kind word for people, and she was really a neat lady. So this is the kind of the character of the piece and of who she was. Gives you a little background on it. Now, this event took place in Wichita, Kansas. It was 1904, and what happened was they were doing a roping, of course, and at this time the women and the men would rope against each other. Well, this old steer was kicked out, went peeling out across this arena that they had, and she took out after him, and this steer got to the end of the arena and jumped the fence and got down to the main drag of Wichita, and she just sent her old horse right on over after that steer, roped the son of a gun right down there on that main drag, and won the roping by a second and a half. And so that's the story that kind of goes with the piece. And you can see a bit of the fence here, and this old horse is jumping over it, and see how his ears are pinned? When an old horse goes after a cow, they'll just pin their old ears. They're not going to let that cow get away. And this is a good horse, so he's really smoking going right after her. This old steer is just peeling off this way. Now you'll notice she's got her old catch rope out. Now she tied hard and fast. That was the nature of the Wild West shows and of the ropings of that time. So she's tied hard and fast onto that saddle. Now this saddle was she had many. This is one of her saddles that she used to rope in. This was her bridle that she used on a lot of her horses and that. You can see the nice shank and all the nice buttons and that. It's a full carved saddle. This is one of the many hats that she wore over the years. It was a little Montana Peak hat. She got her wild rag on. Then you'll notice another little interesting side note here. On her left hand that holds the coils, she's got a cuff on there. And that cuff, because the blouses that they wore were kind of blousy, and see, she'd rope, and when she'd go to jerk her slack and she'd fix to get off her horse, that kept that arm from getting caught up in the coils of her rope. So she's just got that cuff on this arm, not on this arm. And you can see her old hat's kind of reared back, and she's just fixing to go, and she's really going after this steer. And this old horse's ears are pinned, and you can see the masses and the dust and the crud as she comes up and over the fence line, and this old steer's trying to cut and run, and she gets him after all. So it really ties the whole story together. I love the design of it and all the different masses. Thanks a lot for clicking on it. I really appreciate it. Thanks for letting me tell you about it.